What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Tide Talk. It's Sunday, February 16th, and we're back with more RIFC preseason content as we've got a Tide Talk roundtable ready to weigh in on the week's biggest topics. So cozy up, Craig Bear. Let's dive into this one. Just a reminder, each episode is available on YouTube. And if you're watching now, please take a second to subscribe to the channel and click that like button on this video. You can also find us on your favorite podcast applications like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you listen on one of those, we'd really appreciate it if you took a minute to leave us a 5-star rating and a short review, as it helps more people find our podcast. If you're not already using the Club Collector app, hop on the site, linked in our link tree, and go enter the code TIDETALK25, all lowercase, all one word, to add an exclusive pack to your collection. And if you want more of the intricacies of the Club Collector app, go watch our episode with Craig as he breaks down all of it in detail. It's really good stuff. I still haven't hit on a Wicked Rare yet this year. For this season so far, so still waiting. I've got Ryan, Timmy, and mysterious Matt Hands in without the video today. So we'll start with the man of mystery over there. What's up, Matt? How's it going?
Going all right. Yeah, excited to be here. I like doing the roundtables, so excited.
It's awesome. I guess we'll call it a square table today since there's four of us, yeah. I guess. But we've also got Timmy. So we got two of our bloggers in the house, and Kaylor says the vibes when the beers are indeed cracked are immaculate. Timmy faked his, so we'll call him out on his bullshit for that. But what's going on, Tim?
Yeah, not much. It's disgustingly low-key day. Coming upstairs to do this was the most that I moved since I woke up. So this is great. Thank you for having me on.
I'm happy to get you off the couch. I was on the couch all day today too, so I can definitely appreciate the rot. Our friend Don Lindbergh says no beer, have to settle for whiskey today. That's a smart play. It's a weather play too. And as always, my trusty co-host, Mr. Ryan Healy. What's up, Ryan?
What's up, man? Excited to be here. Excited to be back. Excited to have Timmy and Matt on with us tonight.
See if these bloggers can hold their own hair on the pod today. I'm sure it'll all be fine.
Spoiler alert, it won't. Yeah.
Who knows? We've got our friend Scott from Wales in the chat saying up the tide. So just remember, the chat's live. You can interact with us. We're going to go over a lot of topics today, and we'd love to get your take. I think we'll start with the biggest news of the week. And, as we had Kaylor in here, definitely want to shout out the USL show and the job they did covering the big announcement from USL this week. I'm just going to go through and read the, kind of the press release of it, and then we'll talk about the TLDR version of it and kind of our takes on how this might affect RIFC. The United Soccer League USL announced plans to launch a Division I men's professional league in 27-28, bringing the highest level of soccer to more communities across the country. This groundbreaking initiative builds on the USL's commitment to grow the game at all levels, provide new opportunities for players, teams, and fans, and strengthen the foundation of American soccer at a time when the sport is experiencing unprecedented momentum. Today is a defining moment for the USL and the future of soccer in the United States, said Alec Papadakis, CEO of the United Soccer League. Creating a Division I league is a bold step forward, expanding access to top-tier competition, deepening the connection between our communities, and taking another step in aligning with the structure of the global game. By uniting people through soccer and bringing Division I to more cities, we're not just growing the sport, we're creating lasting opportunities while building a more sustainable and vibrant soccer ecosystem in the United States. A Division I league defined by the sanctioning standards of the U.S. Soccer Federation as the highest level for professional soccer in the United States represents the next evolution in the USL structure, establishing a fully integrated pathway for clubs and players. With the USL Championship Division II and USL League One Division III already providing a strong foundation for player development and competition, the new league completes the system, ensuring seamless progression for talent at all levels. The USL has long been committed to creating a structure that drives growth, opportunity, and long-term success in American soccer. Papadakis added, the USL model empowers clubs with greater autonomy and fosters a dynamic, interconnected system, one that allows them to compete at the highest levels while remaining deeply rooted in their communities. Around the world, top-tier clubs thrive in cities of all sizes, and we believe the same is possible here. The demand and infrastructure are in place, and the potential for growth is immense. The new league will serve as a platform both for rising established players to compete at the highest operational professional standards in the U.S., further elevating the quality of play within the USL and the level of domestic player pool for international competitions. Interest in soccer in the United States is at an all-time high, fueled by rising participation rates, increased media exposure, and growing anticipation for major international events like the 2026 FIFA World Cup, the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. As North America prepares to host these global tournaments, the sport is at a pivotal moment, creating unparalleled opportunities to invest in its long-term future. Ryan, how do you feel about that news in the press release?
Well, can we start with just a round of applause? That was some excellent reading. Excellent reading.
Thank you.
I would have been stumbling all over that.
I don't even teach little kids.
I mean, I think overall it's great news for the league. I love the ambition that they're showing. I know a lot of people were a little nervous, going up against MLS, and obviously MLS has a significantly larger financial backing behind it. They've been established for a long time, but someone who wants to see change in this sport, in this country, and the way it's run today, I think having a alternative to the MLS as another Division I league is the path forward there for sure.
Awesome. Timmy, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, echo what Ryan said. Don't have a ton to add to it. I just think the big piece that this opens the opportunity for is obviously promotion and relegation. I don't think there's any guarantee that it's going to directly follow this. I think they've sort of conveniently not specifically said that it's officially part of it. You would have to assume that that's where they're headed, but I think that's really what would be the differentiator between the USL pyramid and what MLS already has, is if they can take it to that level with promotion and relegation.
Yeah, I mean, to me, your point, like talked about like the financial backing that the MLS has. USL is going to have to figure out a way to make the league more enticing in their own way, and I think one of the key levers that they have available to them would be something like promotion and relegation. So to me, it would be a no-brainer. I obviously am making zero decisions and have no financial stake in this, so it's easy for me to sit here and say, and as Kaylor said in the chat, everyone drink every time we say pro rel. But I think they have to think about it in a way of how can we be competitive even if we don't have the same level of financial backing.
Awesome. Before I kick it to hands, Kaylor also added in the chat something I didn't even notice until Matt read it. He said this completes the system, meaning D1 seems to be the final step in the professional pyramid for USL. So get that drink ready, because it's, I think it's the concrete path for pro rel. I said it in the D36, Discord earlier this week, and was met with some hesitancy by some people who, thought this would put clubs under. But I think it provides quite the opposite, where, teams are going to have to invest in their club. They're going to have to invest in their stadium if they want to compete at the highest level. And I think, sure, in the first couple of years, you might have, 10 to 12 teams in that top tier and another 3 or 4 in the next tier down that might be able to, climb and compete. And that's kind of how it is. You see the same yo-yo clubs in world soccer kind of going up and down. So, it'll be interesting to see how that all pans out and who kind of does that investment in their stadium and then into their club to make it work at the top level. What are your thoughts, Hans?
Yeah, I love the idea as far as pro rel, another drink. I think pro rel is like you said, it's a way to differentiate for USL obviously versus MLS. And Kaylor said this in the chat. I was going to say this too. They did mention in the Athletic article that the league, like, it's in the cards basically, or like they still want to do it. Like, not that's obviously not official, but that it's still an option out there that they're pursuing for pro rel eventually. Which I think only helps. I think that I mean, maybe I'm just like, chronically online and on Twitter, but there's always, I feel like, been a discussion in U.S. soccer about like pro rel versus the way MLS does things. And it seems like MLS wants to be more of like an NFL or NBA, like American style franchises and all of that. And I think there are a lot of fans of the game, at least like myself, who became fans of like, teams overseas or like European soccer and pro rel and that system, and kind of want to see that in the US rather than just like trying to Americanize it, like, having like the way it currently is now with all these different franchises. So I think it's a good thing. Obviously the money is going to be an important part of it, right? Like, competing with MLS is not going to be easy. They have a huge head start. They have all the money, obviously. But I think Pro Rel could help, and it's going to offer an alternative. So, all in all, I think it's a good thing. And yeah, I'd love RIFC to be involved. I know Brett Johnson had said something in a statement that he was looking towards that once it got announced. So, exciting times, I think.
I know, as someone who has experience with the most expensive game in world soccer, with your Villa winning the playoffs 6 years ago, as it came up in discussion today in our
Oh
chat.
God.
I was waiting for someone to take a pot shot at him.
Yeah, so I mean, it could be interesting. The MLS has that was a $500 million buy-in fee, and the USL's is significantly lower. Ewan says in the chat, and Matt kind of touched upon it at the end, that people are saying competing. It's not going against the MLS, but it should be coexisting. I disagree with that. I think it's very much put in place to kind of take fans away from the MLS and kind of have that pro rel, to really entice people and to entice owners to want to better their club and better their communities. And Kaylor adds in the chat, this is not secret stuff, but so much of the hesitancy is the most influential clubs in the U.S., mostly USL championship clubs, that League 1C Pro Rel had zero upside. It would only be relegation for USLC teams. And that's kind of what I tried to get at with my opening point of, I think outside, say they go with 12 teams for this Division One, I think there's going to be anywhere from 3 to 5 clubs who have the stadium, who have the capacity to compete in the league by the league requirements, and you're going to see some yo-yoing between anywhere from 3 to 5 clubs over the first, call it 3 to 5 seasons even. Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I agree on the point of it is. I mean, unfortunately, soccer in America isn't one of the top few sports at this point. Again, as I said in the press release, they are hoping that the World Cup and the momentum that brings will kind of bring more of those eyeballs. But at the end of the day, if you're a soccer fan in America, you probably are more a fan of a European club or European team. You might follow MLS club, but I don't see someone doing MLS, USL, all these things. So I think it is a competition for eyeballs. And at the end of the day, the thing that's going to really drive this forward is getting those larger TV deals, those larger sponsorship deals that will then kind of entice these owners to invest in the club and invest in their asset, which is these teams. And the other side too is we talk about the stability of these lower level teams, and some of them are folding more often than any of us would like. But this does also kind of give an ownership group, kind of like what Ryan Reynolds is doing in Wrexham, right? Like someone going in, buying up a team in League One, really investing significantly to try to get them up the pyramid. You can see more clubs being backed with better resources in that way too, especially like you said, Matt, the buy-in fee is so much lower than the MLS. So again, I think it's the democratization of the game via Pro Rel, and I think it should produce a better product on the pitch over time. And when I say over time, I'm talking decades. This is not going to be a 5-year and all of a sudden USL is the top dog in the US. It could take a very, very, very long time, but I'm here for it. I'm here for the long haul.
Ewan does bring up a good point. Says, trust me, the USL doesn't want to F around and find out with MLS billionaires. But I do think that the model is very broken for the MLS. With bringing in past prime players, once Messi's gone, I don't see who comes in and kind of does what he did and bring in that big deal. I think once he's gone, that money's going to dry up, and that's going to inflict change upon that league. And it's just becoming, more and more players are opting not to go to America, and they're going to Saudi Arabia earlier in their career, and the money is just unable to compete over there. So I think the ambitions of MLS to get big names, it was just very flawed in the way they did it, because they're going at players who are close to retirement, and they're kind of on their way out anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the brand that people talk about, it's a retirement home for
Right.
some of the better players in the world who want to come over and hang out in Miami or hang out in LA and happen to play soccer while they're here at the same time.
Sure. Timmy, your thoughts on that?
I mean, I would just add to that exact point, like the USL final and the MLS final. I think MLS Cup was the Red Bulls and the Galaxy, and it did 468,000 viewers. We don't know the specifics of Apple TV, but people have done some pretty in-depth investigation, and the numbers don't sound great from what is publicly available. I won't cite the number because I don't know how reliable it is, but compared to that 468,000, the USL Championship final, Rhode Island FC, Colorado Springs Switchbacks, 431,000. So we were right there already as far as viewership and ratings on cable. So I guess I would just add that as another dimension, knowing that the TV contract would be, I think, renegotiated or extended prior to the Division One league happening. Like that seems like another huge opportunity to me, with MLS locked into that 10-year, $2.5 billion Apple TV deal, which I think is, just on a personal level, a complete disaster. Like I haven't watched a neutral MLS game since that happened. So I just think that's another big opportunity for USL to capitalize while MLS is locked in with Apple TV.
No, I agree, and I know Apple obviously owns the share of the mobile phone market, but I don't think Android users are springing for Apple TV just for MLS. So if you look at just the consumer database of it, it's kind of a tough sell for some people. Nate did ask us in the Discord, our guy Nate Ski, kind of about the expansion numbers and the requirements of this Division One. And I know it's a 15,000 seat stadium, and I don't have the numbers right in front of me, so I don't know if one of you guys can pull it up. I can be my Jamie to my Joe Rogan right now. But I do think Tidewater was expandable up to somewhere around 20, I believe, was the second phase of it, just under or close to 20. But the other key piece to that is 5-year financial kind of contingency plan, or being able to support the club for financials. So I wonder if RIFC being so new could place a hindrance on that. I also think it's worth noting that there are quite a few World Soccer clubs who run in the red. Obviously RIFC's first year with renting a stadium, one merch tent and all that, I wouldn't be surprised if we were in the red this year. So there are a lot of things, variables to take into consideration on what that would look like for an RIFC team who, they want. I believe the league wants 5 years of financial stability, but we've only been around for one, so it's kind of tough to prove that, as far as one. But how do you think? Kaylor adds into the chat, 10K with a waiver, 15K permanent, and Tidewater will be in good terms as far as that. So we would be above the 10K to begin with anyway, but the expandabilities are also there. So Matt, how do you think RIFC's case would be for getting into this Division One to start? And is that what you would like to see, or would you like to see us kind of earn our way into it?
I think I'd like to see us there. I think we have a pretty good case as far as like what they're saying, we need to have as far as the stadium goes. Like Kaylor said, like having the having a waiver. I think a lot of it's going to depend on really, the U.S. Soccer Federation and how well they want to work with the USL on like how much leeway they want to give. But I mean, again, it seems like they're receptive to everything so far. So again, according to that article. So, but yeah, on the RIFC side, I'd love to see us there. I think in our market too. I don't know when who knows when they're supposed to be going, but I know the Revs are supposed to be moving to Everett. Apparently, obviously, there's always red tape with that kind of stuff, but I think that would also help us fill more seats if they move closer to Boston. Get more Southern Mass people, fill those seats, actually fill like a bigger stadium, with expansion and all of that. And I think being D1 helps, even though I think like it's still just like, it's just a word like on paper, technically, oh, we're D1, but like you kind of have to get the money in there and get the players, get the quality up to kind of live up to that standard. But I think having a D1 team here would be, really, really beneficial again, as the MLS team hopefully moves further away and we don't have to worry about those guys.
Right. Like Kaylor says in the chat, I'm sorry, only about 3 to 4 teams in the USL pyramid currently run in the black. Don't worry about being in the black. Worry about not hemorrhaging money farther into the red. I think that's just a world football, model and indicator, because you just see so many clubs with, financial fair play and, making up these shell businesses to report their losses differently. So the intricacies of the financial scheming in world football is pretty outstanding.
I mean, quite frankly, this is how a lot of just businesses run, like, especially in the startup phase. And, when people are, a lot of like venture capital money is pouring in, they run in the black, in the red for a long, long, long time, as long as they're showing growth. And at the end of the day, as long as that underlying asset is growing, they don't care how much money they're spending on it. It's almost just like cost of doing business and cost of growing your asset there. So
That's
why
especially with Brett, these clubs become
and,
a labor of love for the owners,
Yes. I mean, and speak with someone like a Brett and his ownership team, like there are a lot of like private equity, like venture capital people. So that's like how they probably look at a lot of their investments. So
Timmy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And as far as, well, one thing I guess I would add that I know has been thrown around and come up on Reddit, I'm sure it was brought up on the USL show as well. I don't really know what the incentive for US soccer would be, but it's entirely possible that they lower the standards, or I'm telling myself it's entirely possible that they lower the standards so that they don't have every team on a waiver at that 10,000 mark or 10,500. And I think that makes the entire thing, if that were to happen, a lot more feasible for a lot of teams. Like I'm going to take just one example because there's some conversation about Hartford Athletic and their kind of half-assed, flimsy announcement. Really flaky announcement or comment that they made on the Premier Division. But we were looking up, they have a 5,500 person stadium. Like that's a huge difference for them to get to 15,000 versus if the standards were lowered to something like 10,000. There's also a bunch of teams in like the 500,000 population for the metro area compared to the 1 million requirement that's called for right now. So I guess I'll just add that it would help USL a lot if those requirements were lowered. I don't know if there's any incentive for them to do that. If MLS has anything to say about it, I'm sure that they won't. But I think that would make a big difference, and a lot could happen between now and 2027.
Yeah, I know Kaylor mentioned the waiver, and I could also almost see that like kind of being put in the initial phase of it. Like if you're 8,500 to 10,000, you're in to begin with, and then you have X amount of years to get it up to at least 10, and then another X amount to 15. I'm sure it would be staggered just to make more teams available to compete. We've got Aguilar 210 in the chat who says, hello everyone, San Antonio fan, congratulations on making the final last year. Thanks for joining us. Hit that subscribe button. We're always talking about random stuff on here, so you can always pop in. We usually have William from Sacramento in here on most feeds, so we get a lot of fans from different teams who pop in as well. Thanks for joining. But Ryan, I know this was probably a good time in talking about the stadiums and seating capacity to transition to our next point we had up, and this is your baby, so I'll let you cook with it.
Yeah, so we do have a couple open questions, and a lot of this episode we were kind of throwing together like, what are we going to talk about tonight? And it really was news of the week, but at the same time there's been some lacking news so far, and I think stuff that we're expecting to see more than likely ahead of May. And one of those big things in terms of how teams make money and news that we should see about Tidewater is who is going to sponsor this stadium. I want to preface this with none of us know absolutely anything here. This is purely us just like trying to figure out like what the name might be for this stadium. But Timmy, I can start with you. Do you have any candidates that you think kind of like are leading the charge for you, or you really feel strongly about?
Other than my own company, which I keep on telling people we need to be the ones to buy the naming rights, and nobody's taken me up on it yet.
CFO isn't really jumping at the bit with your recommendation there.
Yeah, they haven't taken me up on it yet, but I mean, I think
write me a check; it'll be fine.
Yeah, I think Centerville Bank and Breeze Airways have to be in the conversation, just as two of the main sponsors from last year. But as two marketing professionals, I think we know. It's really hard to prove value in something like naming rights.
I'm just gonna say you're not making your case right now if your CEO is watching, but keep going.
It's way too late if he's watching. But yeah, so I'll throw those two out, and then I mean I was just looking at biggest companies in Rhode Island: CVS, Citizens, Hasbro's probably on their way out. I really have no idea, and I don't know if that's the worst thing. Again, now speaking as a Tottenham fan, we haven't named our stadium in 5 years.
I hope it gets.
I thought it's called the toilet bowl.
It almost becomes like a promotion in and of itself, but although I think that's a lot more true on the global stage, maybe where Tottenham Hotspur used to be, I'll say. But no, I have no ideas. I'm gonna throw Centerville Bank and Breeze as my two leading contenders, but I'm really curious to hear your conspiracy theory.
We'll get there. But Hans, what do you got?
Yeah, honestly, I have no idea. I'm with Timmy there, I guess. Like, I think Breeze obviously makes sense for a somewhat realistic thing as being the shirt sponsor. Maybe they'll want to do that. Yeah, I know Matt put up the Sarasota California taco shop. That would be pretty funny. or Baja's, I'm sure Timmy would appreciate.
Looks fun.
Whoa.
But no, Dells, I have no idea. It's taken forever. Like,
I mean, in fairness, I
know they
shoehorned this
hired-
one in here, so this is fair.
No,
You
it's fine.
guys
I know they hired I remember like there was a thing about like a while back, about hiring some firm to do like a big search and stuff, and like nothing since. So who knows? It's a mystery, much like myself tonight with no camera. So who knows?
Awesome, Matt. What do you got?
Texas Instruments is in nearby Massachusetts. So if you have the Texas Instrument Tidewater Stadium, it's a lot like Tavern in the Square. It makes a great acronym. So I would pick that as my go-to. But I would also go with Dunkin' as a viable option, having been the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence, and probably looking to get a little bit more on the map since there's one on every street corner here in Rhode Island. But I think we go at least 2 years without a corporate name. I think where it's just going to be the stadium at Tidewater Landing and the surrounding area of Tidewater Landing kind of develop into Patriot Place-esque territory with some shops and restaurants and all that. So I think that kind of becomes the more day-to-day and like bigger name of the area versus the stadium itself. Like I think when we went to Patriot Place yesterday, went up to my wife met friends for dinner, and I took the boys to the brewery like a responsible dad, and then went shopping at Trader Joe's. So like I think when you say you're going to a place like that, you don't say you're going to Gillette, you say you're going to Patriot Place. So I could see the Tidewater kind of surrounding area kind of be like that, as long as they don't really corporatize the name of it.
All right, so Timmy, you actually you kind of gave me a good segue there with what major Rhode Island company is potentially trying to leave?
Oh, we're gonna throw Hasbro the naming rights as a.
Oh yeah, so right now they're trying to give them some sweetheart tax deals. They're talking about the I-95 land. What if they also get some back channeling to also get them the stadium rights for Rhode Island FC as part of this like sweetheart deal to keep them out of the seaport, which might as well be hell.
I mean, who says no? You stay in Rhode Island and you get a stadium named after you. It's pretty lucrative. I'd be sold.
Okay.
I think that would screw my surrounding area theory, because then Hasbro would be gone, and not Hasbro, the Pawtucket Pyramid of Apex would be gone for parking.
Wait, why?
Because that's where they would go if
I
stay
think
in Rhode Island.
they're still doing the I-95 land for them.
I don't know.
Or 195, my bad. Huh. Listen, this is just a complete conspiracy theory I cooked up that I was like, what if there's an extra sweetheart deal that the state could throw at them? One final push, Hail Mary, and it's the stadium.
I like it. I'm throwing I forgot about like Bally's / Twin River, get some gambling naming rights in there.
That's actually a pretty good theory.
Which would be hysterical, because you would not be able to bet on the team in state.
Wait, what? Why?
Oh no, that's only college, right?
Yes.
I was gonna say, and if
someone who lost a bunch of money
actually
last year,
I bet the first straw. I bet the first straw of the game. But I think that's a good time and kind of to segue it to parking, as I know I talked about potentially losing Apex. We're doing parking. We're going to do parking. If you do not follow our friend, the little fluffy Cahog boy, on Twitter, he went on quite a rant about parking this week and has quote tweeted himself every day since. So it's a pretty good thread. So let's talk parking. I'm not too worried about it yet. I'm not as worried about it as Kevin is. I think we'll get there. We'll figure it out. We've got a couple months. I'm sure the club has a plan, although they haven't said anything. I think that's Kevin's biggest fear with it all. But I think we're going to be I think we're going to be at Apex. There's also some shuttle lots. We've heard the guild has been included with that, where you can go park there, have a couple of beers, and hop on a shuttle, which would probably suck waiting to get out. But the parking thing is kind of an issue to a lot of people, and we've heard that people who are considering maybe purchasing season tickets or multi-game packs have not done so yet because of the um, unstable situation that is the parking and what little we know about it. So, anyone want to tackle this one first?
Yeah, I can go.
Yeah, go ahead, Hans.
Well, no, on what you just said about people not buying the multi-game passes, like Sarah and I, like we know people who are families, like 2 parents, couple kids that are interested in going to games, maybe not season tickets, but getting like a 5-game pass packet or whatever, and it's just the uncertainty about the parking. Like no one knows where we're gonna go, and I don't know. This is something I've been harping on for like several months, going back to middle of last season at least. But I think it's important. I think it's really important to have that parking plan and have it come out so that people know where they're going, because it's not you know, yeah, I don't think it's not like a walkable. Like Pawtucket's not like a walkable, that much of a walkable city, I don't think, and we don't have public transit infrastructure or anything like a major big city would have. So a lot of the people going to those games are going to be driving in, trying to park somewhere, and I think it's just like a mess that we don't know yet. And I am with you kind of. I think that I'm sure they have to have something. Hopefully something gets announced soon. I think it'll help with ticket sales if once they announce something. But yeah, I think it's a pretty big concern.
I think that's the biggest concern, and it was probably you who gave me that about people not really going with tickets yet because they don't know about the parking situation. And I could see that. Look at poor Kevin. He's having night sweats over it right now. There could just be the
No, that's
seafood.
just the Portuguese food he ate tonight.
Yeah, that's it. But we've got our good friend Tim Sheldon in the chat. He says, I toured the stadium this past week. They said they will have multiple parking places within a mile, and they will be running shuttles and encourage walking during the warmer weather. I think that's, if you look at the lots that are around, you look at Apex, you look at Max Reed, you kind of had to figure that was going to be the situation. It's not going to be as ideal as Bryant with just being right there at the stadium, but I think long term, when you put that pedestrian bridge across the river too, and I'm sure that'll feed into a lot or a system of lots. I've also heard there are a few houses that are kind of in disrepair in the neighborhood that the club has first refusal on, to purchase if and when they do go up, which could be knocked down into parking lots or maybe even a parking structure at some point. But it's all hearsay right now, but I'm sure there is a long-term plan, and there are some contingencies with, kind of things being sold or being updated. But Timmy, what's your thoughts on the parking? Are you super worried about it, or how do you feel?
I mean, the only 2 things I guess that I'll add. One is I forget exactly the places that we've heard this. It seems like there's a lot of smoke, and it's very likely that supporters group or season ticket members will have some level of access to Apex to park.
And we're hearing tailgating with that, which would be absolutely incredible.
Yes.
I would think tailgating is more likely there than Max Reed, just kind of based on what the actual structures are and what they are within the city.
Agreed. And I mean, the Apex plan, like that addresses some of my concerns, but then I was thinking about it and I was like, I have family, friends who aren't going to have season tickets who are going to want to come to games, and it will potentially be difficult to, I think I said this to you all already, but it will be a little bit tough to be like, yeah, we're all sorted.
You just don't want to drive them.
Yeah,
it's kind of messed up to me.
As I was saying, and I was like, wait, we could just carpool. Yeah, it's a fair point. Then I'll go to my other point, which is the Valley Breeze article that was about the parking situation, which said that the parking plan is final, and they said it will be announced in 3 to 5 weeks. That came out on January 15th. This is Big J stuff, but next Wednesday will be 5 weeks from when that came out.
Wow, this is the
And
second time you've told me you've done like extensive math today about something. So
that
Not
one
bad
was
for a
hard.
coach day.
I just counted that up right here on the spot. But so yeah, I feel like I don't know when that gets like printed, I feel like we are right to start holding them accountable at that point. So I'm not saying I'm going to go full fluffy cohog mode, although I appreciate
FQM.
he is doing it.
we should
But
just put a warning out there. It's extremely dangerous to go full fluffy hog mode. Everybody, just do at your own risk. We are not promoting it.
Please consult your doctor if it lasts more than 4 hours.
Correct.
Yeah, so yeah, that's the end of my point. But I mean, I think come Wednesday, if anyone else wants to go fluffy cohog mode again at their own risk, that would be the time, because then we are 5 weeks from when we were told 3 to 5 weeks we'll have information.
All right. And Tim did add that he asked about tailgating, and they said there will be 3 spots to tailgate in, but did not give any specifics. So the fact that it's not a no, I think, is extremely reassuring, because I think even with talking with people that, outside of our group, the tailgating aspect of last year was a lot of people's fondest memory, and, just hanging out, having a good time, kids playing soccer, cooking, music. It was all good. You get to meet some opposing fans before a lot of the games. So it was a lot of good stuff. Ryan, good thoughts on the parking?
Yeah, I mean, I'm typically more patient on these things. Like one thing is once they announce it, they can't go back. So they need to make sure like this is the most airtight plan that they have possible, the best thing that they can do. So if they're taking an extra week just to make sure everything's good, great. The other thing is this isn't a March problem. This is a May problem. So I'm again not as worried because like these ticket sales, these games that we're going to be going to aren't going to be starting until May. And third, I'm probably going to join the bike brigade a lot, riding through Providence. So I'm very excited for that. And obviously it's great that I can do that. It's like a luxury, but I definitely understand people's frustration, impatience, especially those of us who, were season ticket holders this year, who went to a majority of the games, loved the lots and the parking, but also will rely on our cars to get to games. So I totally feel everyone's pain. And again, I do think this will be resolved sooner than later. And we all can turn this from being, frustrated to just pure excitement, because that's kind of one of the last big hurdles until this season.
I've seen you drink at games. I would pay to watch you ride a bike home afterwards.
No
see.
scooters for Ryan.
No scooters. Haven't been on one in a year and a half.
Sarah says she has perfected her Jello shots recipe as well. So tailgating is back. That is absolutely awesome.
Potatoes, Jello shots. Sarah's perfecting a lot of culinary masterpieces. So,
like Timmy says, Sarah the GOAT. And we've got our friend Coach Almeida in the chat. What's up, guys? What's going on, Coach? Hope you're having a good weekend.
Love that Timmy's on here and still in the chat. Good for him.
Man, Timmy,
You're
having a day.
Prolific.
We'll shift gears a little bit to more non-news, and this one is the one that bothers me the most, that there is the lack of any new RIFC kit in 2025. I'll get to what that might be in a minute, but I can't think of a worse business decision than releasing 2, if not 3, new $85 jerseys to a rabid fan base who sells the club out of everything they release, from stuffed animals to winter hats. So to omit that, I just think is a bad business decision, extremely weird. The same fan base who created 20+ minute lines at every merch stand last season in every match. We've heard some rumblings that it could be Capelli, the kit manufacturer, to blame for this, but even so, I think that's poor business and not an excuse. We know RIFC is on a multi-year deal with Capelli as the kit manufacturer, but if they are failing to produce and meet the demand, get the legal team on it. Look to move on. Look to get out to a different manufacturer. I think Capelli is the worst kit manufacturer in the USL. I'll die on that hill. I've owned a lot of kits, and the quality control on Capelli is pretty poor. A lot of pulls, just not good.
My home shirt, the logo from washing it in cold water, no dryer, is like crumpled up. So,
and that you're not the only one that's happened to. I think also you have brands like Charlie, Hummel, Adidas that are just putting out belters for other clubs, and we have a manufacturer who potentially won't or can't keep up with our demand. Or the other side to this, it's the front office deciding against making a new kit. And I think that's a bigger problem and a bigger conversation at a later date. But you got to figure it's one of these two things. And either way, whatever it is, it's not a sound business decision. I think the best thing the club could have done, and let me throw on my Euro snob kit for a minute, was to pull a Luton town. Luton achieved promotion of the Premier League in the 2023-24 season. The club was relegated back to the championship for the 24-25 season, but announced that they would be wearing the 23-24 Premier League top during their championship campaign, as it was such a successful season, such a successful selling kit, and would give supporters the chance to retain the shirts for a longer period of time and help with the consistency of supply. They said it was just such a really good selling kit because it was the first time they had reached the Premier League in however many years it was. So kind of the nostalgia of holding on to it for one more year. I think they're in last place in the championship right now with that same kit. But
they're talking yo-yo clubs. Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah, but I at least feed us that propaganda line, RIFC. That's something I can get behind. The kits have sold out multiple times throughout our inaugural season. We won the Eastern Conference. We're moving into a new stadium. Let's run it back. I can back that. That's fine. But to say nothing and to not have any new kits in the pipeline, I think it's just dumb. So I really got to give the Defiant 1636 some love, and Irvin and his team for the kit that they just put out with Olive and York. It's really cool. And I also do like the subtle jab at the club in their posting saying, if they're not going to give you one, we will. The club should take note. It's just, I think it's just a really big missed opportunity. This would be my fluffy cog boy soapbox that I'll stand on because lost revenue and just another lost connection with your supporters. I think it's pretty shitty business practice. I don't know who wants to follow that up. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that obviously not getting a new kit in is, whether it's the manufacturer, whether it's the front office, whoever it is, it's just, again, for a club that we know is not necessarily like making all the money on planet Earth, especially last year. Like, it is the most obvious way, I think, to generate a pretty nice bump in revenue, especially leading into a new season. It also gets
$85 a pop for adults, $65 for kids.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing where I give the club a little less like leeway and a little less credit here is that this was an issue all year. The kits were sold out for most of the year. Also, just in general, the merchandise was sold out. And then even when you tried to get merchandise, it was, like you said, a 20-minute plus line. It took me months to get my little RIFC beanie for Christmas. Like, it just has been an ongoing problem for the club. And, someone who works in e-commerce, like, I know a little bit about this stuff, and it's not that complicated in a lot of ways. I think it's just about, proper planning and executing on that plan and having good fallbacks if parts of that plan don't work. And it just, again, it for a club that we want to see have that financial roadmap to then push us to these next levels. It's these clear revenue drivers that are the nuts and bolts of a football club that they're missing out on. And I think that's, to me, the biggest issue. Because I mean, even last year with the goalie kit, they sold out in like 2 seconds, and it's like, you could have made so much more money. And like, I would have loved one, like a bunch of people would have loved one, but couldn't even get those out. And so
you had multiple color goalie kits. Like, I would have bought that green one in a heartbeat. Like the green, but like, you don't offer it. You don't have the supply. So whether that's a front office decision, a Capelli decision, a combination of the two, like there's a missing link there that doesn't work. And, we talked about when Kayla was in the chat and the financial stability of clubs, and you have to figure the inaugural season was more than likely in the red. And if you're going to be in the red and you're not affording yourself more opportunities to regenerate any kind of income and keep selling these things, like, that's just not a sound business practice. And you look at the formation of that USL D1 and wanting to have 5 years of financial stability, decisions like that aren't going to help that application.
Well, yeah, and then kind of going back to what you were saying about announcing that backing the first kit and stuff. Right now, there's no news out there, which then makes people hesitant to buy the jersey on the website right now. So again, you're like screwing up what you might be actually selling for next year because you're not talking about it. And it's just
that's why I brought up the Luton Town piece. Like, sell me on that nostalgia. Like, we won the conference championship.
Fucking lie to me. Even if it's Capelli's fault, like, lie to me.
Yeah,
get me hyped. Lie to me.
If you said like, we want to run it back in this new kit because the first season was so successful, we're going to be in our new stadium. Sure, good.
Oh yeah,
I can buy into that. I know it's probably bullshit, but I can buy into it at least.
Yeah, but again,
Yeah.
now I would be shocked if a little bit of this too is they probably, because like I think especially the Amber kit was out of stock for the majority of the season, basically, and they probably now have a decent stockpile due to whatever backlog.
I got mine at a match. The
I can't
Amber
remember
one.
when I got mine. I think I got mine online, but it was like the only size. It was like pure miracle, only size in stock or something like that. Because I'm a
Medium.
little guy. Yeah. But yeah, Timmy, what do you think?
I mean, completely horrified by this, as you guys have said, and as we've talked about a bunch. Like, yeah, whether it's the club or it's Capelli, like it needs to be addressed. And I can't stop thinking about. I'm gonna botch the numbers. I don't know the specifics, but like, if there's 2,000 sickos who are gonna buy home kit, away kit, goalie kit. I mean, we've got 4 of them right here. That's 2,000 people who aren't buying a kit next year because they already have them all. Like, it's completely. I can't. When I want to give someone my money and they make it impossible to do, it infuriates me. And I'm sure that they will have a third, or whoa, they'd better have a third kit this year. I'm assuming that there will be a third kit this year. If it's the goalie,
I'm going with no, Tim.
If it's the goalie kit again, I'm going to be furious because I have it already. I don't need another one.
But you got
it? I think we see a goalie kit release. I think that's it.
Well, of course I got it. What are you talking about?
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I think the thing too that bothers me though about, especially when we talk about third kits, is there's so much good Rhode Island shit that you could make a third kit out of. Like there's, even you can go the charity route. You could just go like pure, like there's so many theme nights that you could build a kit around. Like quite frankly, they could have 12 kits a year. Like they could really go
as simple as the light blue and throw some fucking waves on its shirt, and god damn it, you got a belter.
The training kit,
from what I've seen you doing,
kit they're wearing.
Yeah,
the training kit looks nice.
Right, the yellow on the shoulders. I mean, I think of Pittsburgh's kit with the bridge across it. Throw the Newport bridge across the kit. Like do something. Like make a Rhode Island landmark.
I mean, if the club is listening, I don't know if you've seen what Matt can do in Canva, but he could whip you up a couple designs real quick.
I'm also a certified Canva educator. Let's not forget that, man. these shirts will tell you that as well. Wait till you see the new Tide Pods graphic.
Hands, what do you got?
Yeah, no, I'm with all you guys. I just couldn't agree more, as I like to say. But yeah, I think the optics of it are terrible. Like, obviously, I have no idea about what goes on in the front office, but like, regardless if this is the case or not, it looks like a front office that doesn't know what they're doing. It's the way that not having the kits and not announcing other stuff, like, it at least like looks that way. I'm not saying that that's true or not, but it's just bad optics because like you guys said, like there's so many people who would buy kits, and like it's such a good way, good way to make money. And if it's on the manufacturer, I mean, there's got to be ways to get out. I mean, I'm sure it's extremely difficult, but there's got to be ways to get out of those contracts and circling back to
if the supplier can't fulfill their part of the obligation. I'm not a lawyer, but I would assume that there's a case to be made there.
Going back to Eurosnop,
that's why I said get the legal team involved.
Yeah. Well, Aston Villa got out of a contract with Castor because their kits sucked. No, it's true. Their kits sucked, and they were like sweating through like 5 minutes into the game, and it was like all the shirts were damn. It was just ridiculous. So they got out of that deal, and now they're with Adidas this year. And
Big Six behavior.
Yeah, Adidas is Big Six behavior right there. No, but
you think what if there's a possibility
when
that,
you get trefoil?
Yeah. What if the possibility that they actually
I think
did have a legal team on it, but the legal team is based in Wales, so it's
very, very possible. Trefoil, I think, is coming next year. But anyway,
we'll have to peg you down a little bit on that one, Matt. We got some good comments comments in the chat too that kind of tie in with what you're saying. Andrew Quadros, who was supposed to join us, but he's sick, so we're wishing Andrew a speedy recovery. The lack of communication is what really exacerbates these problems. It's piss poor. And I want to grab his follow-up. Shit is going to go wrong. It happens, but they need to get ahead of it and communicate with people. In kind of thinking of it, you give me 5 minutes, I could probably come up with a list of at least 30 people, like Timmy kind of alluded to, who would have bought a brand new first kit, second kit, third kit, and goalie kit. And I think 30 is probably short slating that list. I think all of us combined could probably come up with 50. And like Tim Sheldon says, I agree. Communication is key.
Well, because like
this club has a lot of.
Sorry, the lack of communication, it creates a void, and then people are going to fill that void with what they are thinking and whether or not it's true or not. So you need to put something out there to fill that void yourself. Because if you don't say anything, then people are just going to start talking about it, and all of a sudden now there's 10 different stories out there, and then you're going to have to come all the way back around, and are you going to then throw Capelli under the bus? Like, what are you going to do now?
Sure.
So
I think the club after the first season has a lot of goodwill. And the casuals might kind of look at it as like, oh well, it's just a shirt, but like the more people who went to every match, the people who traveled with the team, the people who kind of follow every breaking news detail, and capital J look at who's in pictures and training and stuff like that, they're gonna start to lose some faith in that goodwill, and it's gonna kind of rub people the wrong way, because I think there has always been sort of a lack of communication. We've tried to no end to get players on this podcast, and we're met with little to no response. We had the one last year, and I get it. The club has an official mouthpiece. That's not us, but like this state will always be divided on this team, as far as 50% of the state is probably going to be okay with it. Another 50% is going to hate it. So like you got guys like us who are throwing out some free press for you. Talk with us, communicate with us. You got a rabid fan base who wants to buy your shit. Talk to them, communicate with them. Like the communication piece, I think really just needs to kind of step up from this front office and, kind of make things better and make this club go a step further in the right direction. Did I cut you off, Matt? Were you still going?
He was talking about Villa sweating through their shirts. He's
No.
He put himself on mute on purpose.
Yeah, no. Very, very well said, though, Matt. Very well said. And then I got Timmy's cat over there kind of.
It's distracting.
It's distracting me. Yeah, I saw its face and the eyes just staring through the screen for a second.
The way he just strokes it is.
Oh my God. For those of you who listen to this on a podcast, I don't even know how to explain what's happening right now.
I got to start. I know you can add the video version of Spotify. I got to start like adding them to Spotify, so you can potentially watch it. And like Sarah says, Timmy's cat looks horrified at these conversations.
The cat was looking for a new kit. That's what the problem.
Timmy, what's your cat's name?
Stella.
Artois.
We every year for her birthday, we get a 6-pack of Stella Artois. Yeah.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Giving a cat a 6-pack to me, I
it's all for
PETA
her
right now, but geez Louise.
Yeah.
Anything else anyone wants to get out on kit talk before we put a pin in that one?
Just please, if the club's listening, just make me a kit. Just put chip on. I don't do whatever you want. I don't care.
Get behind
I will buy it. Just buy
Get behind the third one.
And the Sac Republic kits are sweet.
Oh, sick!
There's so many good ones coming out. That's the other problem is I'm getting so much envy. Like
I saw William in the chat, so I don't know if he's still here, but our friend from Sac Republic, that Sac Republic kit with the stripes is just it's the best one I've seen so far this year. So
I want Hummel.
Yeah, at Hummel, Charlie puts out some really good bespoke stuff. Joma puts out some good bespoke stuff. But there are a lot of cookie cutters in the hands of Capelli, Nike, Adidas, and the quality of Capelli is what's really kind of going with me. Kevin says I'd love to see a wave design kit. I think it sells itself with that light blue color we have in.
But Matt, like to your point, like some of the clubs you're naming right now, those are like I think we all think of them as like the premier clubs of this league.
Well,
and it's like
even Lou City, like Lou City's Adidas, and it's a very cookie cutter Adidas template kit. It's nothing fancy. They're closing it out now, selling it off, and like that's what RIFC should be doing. Yeah,
but it's all the best run clubs you're seeing are also coming up with these things, and we're not in an inaugural season anymore. Like this is our second season. Like we need to, especially if we want to now go into this D1 that other teams are going to go into, like we need to be acting like a D1 club on and off the pitch. And I know this is very like nuanced in the weed stuff because we are, as Timmy said, the sickos, but again, it could really matter on a P&L statement. Like this is very much a revenue driving piece of the thing, because like it's not even just about the kit itself, because you then can also create an entire marketing campaign around it. You can it just creates hype, it creates excitement. It's
you're out in the community,
it's momentum that you're
pictures
losing
and making videos of it. Kevin's wave kit is gaining a real tide pull right now. People said how fire it would be. They love it, love the idea. So simple.
Wow, look at our chat
so far. So
the
chat is pumping up. William said the Sac Republic home kit looked great, and I was there attending the town hall event weeks ago. And that's the thing, like that's another event you can have with supporters when you announce it. I know they did it at the Guild last year. Just feel like it's a really big missed opportunity.
I mean, Isaac Anking's like clothing line rollout is creating excitement more than a kit for the club right now. Zachary Harvell, great model. Tell him that much.
That's it. Let's shift gears a bit. We had some player movement since our last pod, or potential movement since our last pod. So Ryan, take us away.
We signed a defender from Providence College that I definitely know his name.
Cole Dewhurst.
Cole Dewhurst from Providence College. Yeah, so another defensive piece there at the back. I know we didn't.
It's going to be more like Nathan Messer.
Yeah, we didn't do a blog on this one. We are going to do a wrap up, kind of roundup blog of some of these players like Will Myers as well, the backup goalkeeper. But yeah, again, seems like a much more of a depth piece. A player who made it. He came up through the Revs Academy. He's a local kid. I know Timmy's up near your North Shore. Raised on roast beef, even though it doesn't look like it. But Timmy, anything you wanted to add on Cole?
Well, one, this is not the first time that we've seen a press release get changed after the fact, but I'm no longer confident that he's from Beverly, Massachusetts. It's listed as being from somewhere else now. Still a Massachusetts boy, but I don't know if he came up through the beef gauntlet the same way that I did. But
I mean, he doesn't look like he did, so.
No, he does not. He's 6'2", and I think I weigh started. The same, so. Yeah, I think he started every game in his last 2 seasons for Providence College. He made all league 3rd team last season, so seems like a good depth piece. Like Matt said, probably Nathan Messer, and I mean, I don't probably want to see him play, but I'm very happy to have him here. I mean, if he plays,
I know what you're saying.
Having a big injury problem. But yeah, I mean, great signing for the future. Hopefully, I would put him in line with like Temu and others.
Well, we are going to do a preseason prediction. I have a prediction about Temu, but we'll see.
Maybe he just loves dogs. Could he be the dog walker of it all? We also look at there could potentially be another modest signing coming in to help bolster the defense. Our boy Fluffy Cowhog Boy kind of tweeted it out first. Rhode Island FC plans to sign 6'2" Cuban, did you hear that, Matt Hands, international Modesto Mendez, a big defender who has USL experience. Not sure when the announcement is coming, but stay tuned, and we'll credit Fluffy Cowhog Boy's capital J journalism skills for looking in and seeing him in the team photo down in Florida, and then being pulled from the next one. So it was a very interesting photo shoot where Modesto was seen and then he was not seen. But Hans, any thoughts on potentially bringing in the Cuban?
Are you happy for Frank? I'm happy for Frank.
Yeah, it'd be good to have. Yeah, I'm sure it'd be good for him. Yeah, I mean, no one's gonna replace Frank, in my heart. But having another Cuban defender is good. I think he could be good. I think he's someone who could see the field, if we do sign him, other than, unlike probably, no offense, but the PC guy, who I think, like, is probably more of, like, a depth, like Timur was saying, just kind of a end of the bench kind of guy. Probably not in the 18 kind of guy. But, yeah, it's good news. I think we're at the point in the season now, obviously, where we're expecting probably just, like, maybe some late signings, some depth pieces, nothing major. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I don't have too much to say about it, but we'll see.
Only 12 appearances in the last 2 seasons for Modesto between Hartford and Lexington. So,
yeah,
you look at Kano and the type of player he's brought in. If it's somebody coming off injury, it's someone he's kind of familiar with. So, wonder what the connection there. He did spend some time back in Charleston, Fort Lauderdale, Inter Miami 2, and Shartford. But it'll be interesting to see if he can get healthy and provide anything. Hopefully we're able to compete in both of the cups this year as well as the league. So we'll give our full coverage on it when it breaks. But definitely wanted to bring in that we did see him at training.
He's in the picture.
Yeah, he was on Instagram with I think it was Dequa, right? One of the players had him on their IG story. So
Oh, that's who that was when I sent it to you guys.
Yeah. Do you guys think that you could beat Frank and Modesto Mendez at ping pong?
I'm pretty seasoned at ping pong. We do set up the tables every now and then in the gym. So
they're just long though. That's what I'm worried about. They got a long reach.
You like it long, Timmy?
They're soccer players. I feel like I don't know, using their hands a little bit more than usual. You're not backing yourself, Timmy?
No, I am. I was trying to be humble, but I am backing myself. I think I can beat them.
I guess before we kind of put a pin in this one and wrap it up, we have a pretty good question from Ewan, who we know is not really somebody named Ewan, so won't fully dox him here on air. But which team are you guys scared of the most this year? Anyone want to start first on that one?
Yeah, I can. I'll shout out Birmingham. I guess they made. I'm like, you could say one of the regular. Like, obviously, you could go for the, Louisville, Charleston, whatever. But
I mean, I'm probably gonna say that, but thanks, Matt.
Yeah, well, no, I want to throw out something different. I think, I think Birmingham's made some really good signings. I think they had potential to be a decent team last year, but they had no striker all year. Like their guy got injured like the first half of the first game or something. So hopefully for their sake, I guess, hopefully if they have better injury luck, they could be kind of a surprise. I guess it's maybe a somewhat surprise, dangerous team this year. So that's kind of the team I'm looking at. That's kind of out of left field a little bit.
Timmy?
I mean, I'll be the normie that Matt referenced. I think it's got to be Louisville. They had some notable departures, and I don't want to butcher their names. I don't have them up in front of me, but I feel like they replaced them and then some. So they might be, from what I'm understanding, a little less top heavy and focused on like those two attacking players who they sold. But I feel like their depth and that's a professional team right there. I mean, I think that they're still going to be the team to beat, and probably not. They're probably going to come to play with Rhode Island because of the way that we beat them twice and then drew them the third time. So I'm still scared of Louisville. I do agree with Matt Hands. I think if there was a USL championship Big Four, Birmingham might have worked their way into it this season and replaced Indy. So those would be. I mean, Birmingham, Charleston, Louisville.
we all know how Ryan feels about Indy, so we don't need to get into that. From no, yeah, Louisville lost,
which is fun because I actually like everyone we have interacted with from Indy.
No, I know.
Of course,
like,
of course. I was saying they literally finished in the top four last year. Is all I meant.
No, they Louisville lost. Wilson Harris, right? I think, and then who's the other? Winder went to the MLS.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
but they had brought in someone last year, right, at the end of the season for striker. So
yep,
the guy from Tulsa, whose name escapes me right now. So yeah, I mean they're always reloading. So
we got Ewan saying if there's a team that holds grudges, it's Lou City, but it doesn't matter because RIFC was made to be Louisville City's bogey team. We're just going to keep taking them out on the regular. I think Winder is a big miss. For me, it's Charleston. I think Charleston. Is the correct answer to this question. I think it's us and them in the conference championship. That'll be part of my bold permission going forward. But I think Charleston's just really well run. They kind of bolstered up the midfield and the back line, and although you lose, you kind of shore up things on the other end, and I think they'll be fine. Is it same for you, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm just looking through the table here, and I think Birmingham. I think we all agree have really made some interesting moves to make themselves a more complete team. Charleston as well. I mean, the thing with Charleston, I kept being like, oh man, they lost Markanich. Like they haven't really replaced him, and all of a sudden they pick up Kyle Jennings, which is like a massive, massive signing. Detroit City, they've let Maxi Rodriguez go, and doesn't seem like they've done a ton to replace him. Just gonna skip Hartford. Yeah, it's kind of middle of the pack here, like Indy, Loudoun, North Carolina, Pittsburgh. Like, haven't really seen them do much. And then Tampa's lost a ton of talent. So, I mean, I think, again, we're going to go into this deeper. But looking into the next season, I mean, Charleston scares me the most. I would say Louisville is right up there, number 2, and then Birmingham I think could definitely be a dark horse to get into that home playoff push next year. So
yeah, totally agree with that. Anyone have anything else they want to get out before we hop off this one?
I just think we need to reiterate again, if you're gonna go fluffy call hog mode, if it's more than 4 hours, call a doctor. Like, just please, like, we need to make sure. Our lawyers are gonna get so mad at us about this, but if you're gonna go fluffy call hog mode, please be careful.
You never go full fluffy co-hog mode.
Once you go fluffy, you never go back. Tim, you got anything for us?
No, I don't think I can follow that up.
All right, so definitely want to thank everyone who joined us, stayed with us for a little over an hour. Please, before you leave, click the thumbs up button on this video to give it a like and subscribe to our channel if you're not already. We appreciate you taking the time out of your Sunday night to join us. But that'll wrap things up for this one. Remember, Tide Talk is more than just a podcast. It's more than just 2 guys on a podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for daily social media content. I think that's why we brought these 2 bloggers on, just to show that it's more than just me and Ryan who have faces for radio. But Matt didn't want to show his face, so whatever. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for daily social media content. Click that link in this episode description to follow all of our accounts. I've been your host, Matt, for Ryan, Timmy, and Hans. We'll see you next time. Thanks again for joining, and as always, up the tide.
Up the tide.